He is a man who was a prep All-American basketball player in Detroit. He is also a man who played 3 years of basketball for the Tennessee Volunteers. Overseas, he served. I find a very, very obvious question. Why diesel? Why not regular unleaded? Or
why diesel? Actually, Vince McMahon and the marketing department came up with the moniker diesel, and I didn't really care for it when I first came in, but as always, he was right. It kind of fit, and I think it's very fitting. In
the circle, of course, you are dressed in black. You are a 325-pound chunk of personality, one who is designed to exhibit great skill athletically and also entertain people. When do you allow yourself to be Kevin Nash, or are those days out the window?
I think more now than ever. I think that the people see more of Kevin Nash as Diesel than they did when I was, quote, a bad guy. I think the good guy Diesel is a lot of Kevin Nash, and I think the more that Kevin Nash intertwines with the character, I think the more successful Diesel will be. We just talked about the fine line between heroes and villains, or as they are known in the trade, baby faces and heels. I have always maintained that Randy Savage is far more attractive as a villain. Why? I don't know. And for example, The Undertaker, who is a member of the World Wrestling Federation, as a villain was reasonably attractive, but as a so-called hero, has an almost unstoppable audience appeal. How do you explain that? Oh, I think society, there's such a fine line between, I think the society wants a tough hero. I think that...
Seagal, Eastwood,
exactly.
Wayne, that type of thing?
And I think Van Damme kind of borders on not so tough. Personally. I mean, I think that's why he maybe doesn't have the box office appeal of some of the other guys, honestly.
You are blessed with tremendous athletic gifts. After playing high school basketball in Detroit, you wind up down in Tennessee. I've been thinking about this all day long. Judd Heathcote is over at Michigan State at that time. Bill Frieder is at Michigan. Why didn't you stay home? Surely they had the mitts out for a 7-footer.
It was funny because Magic and I had went to basketball camp at the University of Michigan that summer. And Kevin Smith, who was at Birmingham Brother Rice, was another All-Stater. They had called me and said they were going to Michigan State. Jay Vincent had signed also.
Sure.
And all they really, in their equation, they said they were missing the big man. And they said, we're all going to State, come with us. I said, man, I'm getting out of the snow. I'm going down south. And lo and behold, once again, heck of a choice, and they win the national championship.
How many colleges overall wanted Kevin Nash, the basketball player?
I think I got a letter almost from Panhandle State to UCLA to, I mean, when you're a 7-foot
Were there
white
colleges
kid,
that said, come fly with us, and here is the car, here's the 10 grand a year, we know you are fatherless, your mother will be taken care of?
There were some people that, you know, try to put the old college cup in. There were some people that broke the
sugar daddies?
Yeah, there was a lot of it, and it was wide open back then. And it was, but I had a very strong mother that I remember at the time University of Detroit was coached by Dick Vitale.
Oh my gosh!
And I think he lived in front of my house for my entire senior year. And one day he came by and he spoke to me as I walked across my front yard, and my mom said, "That's it. That's your third visit with him. You don't get another one." And she kind of ran. I was 17. I couldn't sign without her.
Well, as you know, what's interesting about Dick Vitale is the job at UAD for the Titans. All of it drove him nuts. Then the job with the Detroit Pistons, Bob Lanier will tell you, all of it drove Dick Vitale nuts. I can just imagine this guy outside your house going, Kevin, baby, you got to swing the bat for the big guy. I got to have this guy. He's going to be an all aircraft player. He's going to be part of my all airport team, right?
And he really had something going at that time. I mean, he had a team that took Michigan, who went to the finals that year, took him down to the wire. And but my mom said, "You're not staying in Detroit." So.
You were raised, as I mentioned, fatherless. I'm told that a young Kevin Nash, a.k.a. Diesel, once again, growing up, was not exactly the kind of role model one would equate with your average Boy Scout.
I know. I don't think I got a whole lot of merit badges as a youth.
Would it be safe to call you a punk?
I don't know about a punk. I'd say I stretched the envelope.
Prankster.
Yeah.
Is that part of the personality you now project as a wrestler?
I think as you go through your socialization process, any part of that is, I mean, Detroit and those days on the street comes with me. And, yeah, it's still there. The prankster's still there. When
you're wrestling, given the nature of your business, you can be 8'3" and weigh 500 pounds. You can be 2'5" and weigh 54 pounds. We both know that in its own way that essentially means nothing if you can't get a crowd to respond, either boo or cheer, and not do it casually as if they're attending the opera at Carnegie Hall. They've got to do it from the gut. When the hands are in the lap, the promoter is unhappy, the building is unhappy, and I would think you were unhappy. Do you take that personally? When you're wrestling and you don't hear a crowd responding, what goes through your mind?
I mean, our business is fun, it's entertaining, and it's entertainment, and if they're not having a good time, then you've got to, you got to do some on-the-spot soul searching. You've got to...
Jealousy level in professional wrestling. For example, I would think you would like to make the kind of dough that Hulk Hogan makes. Conversely, there are innumerable wrestlers who are part of your federation right now who would like to make what a Diesel makes, who would like to be given the push that you are obviously being given right now by Vince McMahon and by Titan Sports, which is the godfather, the parent company of the World Wrestling Federation. Do you really have any friends in this business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know. I think that the perception of what wrestling was and what wrestling is now is very different. I think that at Titan, we work together as a team, from the office personnel to the guy that delivers mail to Vince to the boys that work each night. I think the guys are behind me. The night that I went out in the Garden against Bob Backlund, I don't think there wasn't a guy that wasn't at the curtain to watch that match to wonder what exactly was going to happen. And to me, when I looked behind me and the Undertaker looked at me and he said, "You see that?" I said, "Yeah, they're here to watch." He said, "No, they're behind you." So. No, I don't think there's that much jealousy. I think we've got a pretty close-knit bunch of guys.
That match lasted, if I'm not mistaken, 9 seconds?
7.
7 seconds, which gave Diesel plenty of time to stop by choose one. Toots Shor's, Gallagher's, or there's actually a great deli right next to Madison Square Garden where they have terrific yogurt. Anyway, we are back in a moment with the World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion, Kevin Nash, the Diesel. Sunday, Royal Rumble on pay-per-view, $24.95. As they say in the trade, check with your local cable operator. Back in a moment. How dare them talk about the host of News Sport Talk in such a derogatory manner. True as that may be, as we continue with our friend Kevin Nash, Diesel, the World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion. You mentioned The Undertaker. Vince McMahon was here about 3 or 4 months ago. Had a great conversation with him. Vince obviously has those individuals who would like to put a blade in his spleen. I happen to think that Vince McMahon is a very bright promoter, a very shrewd man, and a remarkably gifted salesman. We were talking about his stable of wrestlers, and I asked him, do you ever look at what is transpiring and think to yourself, you know, this is kind of funny when you get right down to it? This is really kind of funny. And I got to ask you, do you look at The Undertaker with a pallbearer? Do you look at Doink the Clown from time to time and think to yourself, you know what? This is funny. What we do for a living is humorous in its own way.
I mean, I look at it and myself, I sit backstage a lot of nights and I look at and what a cast of characters we do have. And behind those costumes and everything else, I mean, there's a genuine person that's and you can't portray a character unless that person is somewhere in there. And, you know, some of the comments that are made, the quick-wittedness that's around the locker room, and, you know, we get to have our hair long. We get to, you know, it's a part of Americana that's never going to go away.
Yes, sir. You were a man who obviously distinguished himself in a very positive manner. You were involved, I understand, in some covert operations. What was the role of a Kevin Nash in the military?
The debriefing is that we guarded items that were vital to national security. That's all I can say.
Did you ever feel as if, son of a gun, my life is at stake? I am carrying a document right now that Country A would love to get its hands on, and for gosh sakes, I don't know who's on the plane with me?
We always carried live ammunition. I can't say that. We never left without live ammunition.
Did you ever think about becoming a career soldier?
There was a point in my life where, I was very undisciplined as a youth. I think that was one of the major things that cost me a chance to really do something in basketball, in college and beyond. And I thought that was where I really got the discipline. And, you don't really have a choice. They tell you the way that things are, and once you sign the piece of paper. And I thought that discipline was very good, but once I got it and once I knew that I could keep it, it was time to move on to something else.
Well, for example, 3 years of basketball at Tennessee, and then you join the military. I'm told that you seek time in the service because you want to straighten out your life.
Right.
Did you leave Tennessee, or did Tennessee suggest, with all due respect, that it might be time for the rival parties to shake hands and come out leaving?
Let's see, what was that? Get out? Don't come back? No.
Were you like Dwayne Shinsius?
I actually saw him the other day at the Knicks game. No, I think I was probably worse than him. As a matter of fact, the same coach, though, DeVoe, threw him out, too.
That's right. That's right. But let me ask you this. A big guy, and you obviously have tremendous, tremendous natural athletic ability. You play basketball in Germany. If I'm not mistaken, Al Looney Tune, the old Marquette Warrior, was one of the guys you played against in Germany. Have there been moments, for example, when you were in the Garden on Monday, and you're watching Coleman, do you ever think to yourself, boy, if I could turn back the clock about 8, 9 years, I could take this guy on the blocks, give me the rock, I can turn, give him the half spin, and put this ball right off the top of his head. I could own this guy.
Yeah, I mean, you miss the game to a degree, but at the same time, I mean, then it changes everything. If you go back and take one block out, then maybe I'm not the person I am now, and I'm happy with the way I turned out at this point. So maybe I think things happen for a reason. I think there's a certain degree of destiny, and I don't look back. I just look forward.
Your business has picked up a minor black eye over the years because of allegations and revelations of steroid use. We're all aware of what transpired this past summer with Vince McMahon. Hulk Hogan was on the stand. Vince told us his legal defense cost well over $1 million. You ever use the juice?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think there was a person. I took it in 1986 for the first time, and I don't think there was a person that, in that gym musclehead realm of thinking that wasn't curious. It became kind of almost chic to take the juice. And one thing that really made me want to come to the World Wrestling Federation, because it was an even playing field. They had a drug program and a drug testing program that was, as they say in the business, a shoot. It was for real. And it wasn't, if I was going to be promoted, I was naturally a big person. But where I was before with Turner, everybody's on it, you've got to be on it. You're not going to be promoted. With the World Wrestling Federation, it's the opposite. Everybody's on it, if you're on it, you're not going to work for us, period.
So are you tested, for example, every 7 days, every 14 days?
I may be tested 3 days in a row. I may not be tested for 2 weeks. It's completely random. Vince doesn't know when it goes down. The boys don't know when it's coming. It can be in Hoboken. It can be in London. I mean, it's that random and it's that real, and we know it is.
You talked about the changing face of professional wrestling. When I was a kid growing up, and this goes back to the dark ages, Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, the late Buddy Rogers, Herman Dutch Rohde from Camden, New Jersey, was absolutely the epitome of professional wrestling. Baby blue trunks, the black wrestling boots, the dyed platinum hair. But for the most part, wrestlers wore black trunks, black boots, and whatever personality they had was personality from within. It was not, shall we say, applied personality. Obviously, that has changed. There is a Doink, there is an Undertaker, there is an IRS, there is a Macho Man Randy Savage, there is a Hulk Hogan, etc., etc. You talked about the fact that if a wrestler is going to be successful, part of a wrestler's personality has really got to adopt those characteristics. Is that a way of saying that the public will see through a personality that is ineffective?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Diesel to me is a character that's very streetwise. He's a gimmick kind of guy. He just comes after you. He comes straight ahead at you. And, I mean, I think I'm a nice guy, but, you know, mess with my wife, mess with my family, mess with my friends, and there's that pit bull inside of me.
Will go out of their way to make life miserable for Randy Savage because he is a professional wrestler, and there is always going to be that wise guy who's had 2 or 3 belts at Jack Daniels or Jim Beam who figures, here is my opportunity to be the Hicktown local hero. Does that happen with you?
I have to say no. I think I'm kind of like the USA. You know, I'm a 7 foot, 300-pound guy. I don't think the U.S. really worries too much about being invaded. You know, I think if you look around the bar, there's a lot other people you're going to come to before if they come to me. By that point, it's you know, I don't get too much of that at all.
Before we break, I've got to ask you this question. Sunday down at the Suncoast Dome, Tampa, Florida, Royal Rumble, Suncoast Dome, a magnificent, magnificent building, just screaming for choose one. Professional football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball. What do you have? Diesel, the defending World Wrestling Federation champion against Bret Hitman Hart, a member of the Wrestling Hart family, former WWF champion. This violates the basic precept of professional wrestling. You got 2 baby faces going head to head. Where is the heat? Doesn't Diesel have to generate the heat in this particular match?
I've got the belt, so he's got to come after it, right? The way I look at it is, it's just he's a very good athlete, and he's very competitive, and his nature, at one time he was also, you know, quote, a heel. His aggressive style and his aggressive nature, and the fact that he has been a champion, I don't think that there needs to be rule breaking in order for something to be competitive. And between him and I, we had a match at King of the Ring, and I think I should have beaten him. There was interference, so now it's one-on-one with nobody out there. And
if I told you when I was growing up, before I wanted to be a broadcaster, before I wanted to be a state senator, that lasted about 15 minutes, I wanted to be a wrestling villain. I wanted to be a heel in the worst way. To this day, I would love just once to hop in the tights, go in the ring with a robe. I wouldn't care if I got pinned in 35 seconds. I would just like the opportunity to have that manager strut from the dressing room to the ring, taunt the crowd, and be a heel. Now, Sigmund Freud, explain what's wrong with me.
Absolutely
Or maybe what's right with me.
Exactly. I think that's the appeal of what we do in sports entertainment. I think there's a lot of people that see that and they say, God, I'd love to do that. We get to do that, and we get paid to do that. So imagine how much fun we have.
Yeah, look what you did with my little 5-year-old boy the other night at the Nassau County Coliseum. Quick little story. I'll do it in 15 seconds, Gary, so you don't have apoplexy. Took my little boy Tyler over to the Nassau County Coliseum to see a great wrestling card this past Friday night. Rene Goulet, a wrestler I've known for years and years, who's now an advanced man for Vince McMahon in World Wrestling. Took us back in the back to meet some of the wrestlers. Owen Hart came out, great guy. Sparky Plug and Diesel. And Rene Goulet suggested to my little boy Tyler, all of 5 years old, that he could be the flag man for Lex Luger. Lex Luger, of course, utilizing the phraseology, made in America. Tyler's immediate reaction, oh my gosh, Daddy, oh, do I really get to do this? Then Tyler looked out, saw about 4,000 or 5,000 people in the stands, mind you, an hour in front of the show. Saw the size of the flag, and I then had a 5-year-old little boy crying his eyes out saying, Daddy, please take me home. While this poor guy stands there thinking, I've scared the poor kid half to death. Anyway, I want you to know, he loves you. He's your biggest fan.
I appreciate it.
But he might take Bret Hart with the points on Sunday if they're right. We will continue with Diesel momentarily. Hang in. Still to come, Jiggs McDonald and our buddy Dave Sims right here on the Conversation Connection. Howard Beach, Florida. Let's give the paying customers an opportunity to talk grappling, talk the mat world right here on News Sport Talk. Joe, my friend, apply the suplex.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Before, Diesel was talking about the people at the WWF, how nice they are, and guaranteed, Diesel, you're 100% right. I'm a Mason in the state of New York. It's Howard Beach, New York, Chet. And in December, we had at Toys for Tots at New York Hospital. From the operator I spoke to Miss Susan Aitchison, when I called her, I said, Susan, I'd appreciate if you could send the wrestler for the children. She didn't say, well, let me see. no problem, Joe. Doink showed up, and I looked in his eyes. When these kids seen his face, they were ecstatic. There was actors and actresses there. They didn't even take notice of these people. And I looked in Doink's eyes. He enjoyed himself so much that it was the biggest thrill for me and for the children. And when it comes to the WWF, you're number one.
Thank you very much. And I got a picture today from a kid. We did a match at a small high school in a Pennsylvania town. I can't remember. I got the picture today from his mother. It was a young kid that was maybe 5 or 6 years old. I think his name's Paul, that was suffering from leukemia. And to me, you know, you can say what you want about professional wrestling, but I mean, when you go into a building like that and you see a kid and you don't know how long he's got left, and you can make that kid smile, if it's just for a minute, that makes all the travel and everything else we do well worth it.
Does it hurt you when the so-called legitimate press either ignores you or tramples you?
It really bothers me. I think from not only for myself, but as an organization, you know, the World Wrestling Federation is basically, it's part of Americana. It's a family-based organization. It's like Ford Motor Company. The only difference is the McMahons have produced wrestling, where the Fords have produced automobiles. And I think that what they've done with that organization is, I mean, and as far as for charity and everything else, yeah, it does bother me. I think we get a kind of a short end of the stick a lot of times. We got some great athletes and a great bunch of guys, and I think there should be a little bit more to it.
Anybody but anybody, whoever tells me that you guys are not athletes and that you guys don't wind up with bumps and bruises, and let's keep in mind, there is no insurance policy. You guys are all, for all practical purposes, you guys are independent contractors.
Absolutely.
You get banged up, you don't get paid. These guys do get hurt. I have seen wrestlers get legitimately hurt, and that does kind of bother me, that that's never acknowledged. Yeah, you are sports entertainment. Vince McMahon will tell you, we are sports entertainment. We are no more. No. Could you do this if you didn't have a massive ego? I mean, you're a very humble man by nature. You're fun to talk to. You're as relaxed as a guy sitting over a 6-inch putt. But I mean, to do what you do, I would think you would have to have an ego that's roughly as big as the World Trade Center.
Add a floor. No, I think...
Are you jealous of Hulk Hogan?
No.
Do you wish you were making his money?
No.
Did he sell out the World Wrestling Federation?
I think he sold out Vince. I think
Vince took it very personal.
I think he should have.
I think the relationship between Vince and Hulk was almost not father and son, but very, very fraternal. I think it'll be a while before Vince truly gets over the departure.
It makes it hard on somebody like myself that, you know, that's put in a position, you say, Vince, I wouldn't do that to you, but so many people have. It's like, you know, when's somebody going to stop putting a knife in the guy's back and turning it?
Let's hop back on the phone lines. The Bronx. Paul joins the party. Paul, how about the airplane spin?
Hello, Chet. I think you have a great show.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Diesel. Do you feel that the competition in WCW is much more difficult than it is in WWF? Because when you were there, you never won a belt, while in WWF you won every title they had.
I think that goes the same as Cecil Fielder. When he was with Toronto, he did nothing, and now he's with Detroit. You know, he's still in the same organization. You know, he's still playing Major League Baseball. I think that people grow. I think that people change in time. I think that my time maybe wasn't then, and I matured, and my associates with Shawn Michaels, I think, helped me a lot. I learned a lot. I'm not the same person that I was down in WCW, and thank God I'm not.
Speaking of WCW, the war is obviously in. The last time Vince McMahon joined us, he indicated that he thought Ted Turner and World Championship Wrestling was a fly in the ointment. Do you look upon them as being a brazen competitor, someone who could take dollars out of your pocket, or are they a minor league and you are the major league?
I would say that if I was General Schwarzkopf, they're probably the Royal Brigade.
Was Snoopy in charge?
Maybe.
Hey, my friend. I appreciate this very much. I know you've got Regis and Kathy Lee tomorrow morning.
Yes.
I'll guarantee you they will not ask the same questions I asked.
I would have to say probably not.
Pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble against Bret Hart Sunday, along with the IRS against The Undertaker. And by the way, tell Paul Bearer, I knew him when he was Percival Pringle, and he's a hell of a lot more fun as Paul Bearer. Put that hand up for a second, by the way. If we ever go one-on-one, I think I'm in serious trouble.
White Connie Hawkins.
The white Will Perdue. We are back in a moment. We'll be joined by Thomas Lewis, wide receiver of the New York Giants, right here on News Sport Talk. Hang in.